There we go. Right, that should just do that. Put that in there like that. Keep my phone out of the fucking reach of the fucking thing. Oh no, there's a microphone there as well. Shit, oh well. Fuck myself now, aren't I? Put that up there then. Fuck it. Right out the fucking way. Nice. Right, well. Evening, boys and girls. Welcome to today. And we are sitting in the Terrican, as you can probably tell if you can see. Well, you can see in the back. Let's be honest. It's full of shit. Basically, the Terrican is off the road at the moment. It's not got an MOT. It's on a sawn. It does still start. Let's see whether it will start.
Evening, boys and girls. Welcome to today. And we are sitting in the Terrican, as you can probably tell if you can see. Well, you can see in the back. Let's be honest. It's full of shit. Basically, the Terrican is off the road at the moment. It's not got an MOT. It's on a sawn. It does still start. Let's see whether it will start. No, doesn't want to. No, it's dead. It's dead as a dodo. Oh dear. That's a problem because I was wanting to use two cameras. There we go. Because I want to test the new camera. Now the new camera's next to you, so if I'm kind of looking a bit odd, it's because there's two cameras and I don't know which one's going to do what or how it's going to get on. It's a shame that this thing didn't start just then, so I'm going to have to jump it. Won't be an issue. I've got jump leads, I've got another car, so I can sort that out a bit later on. But it does now mean that we are running on absolutely borrowed time. Because I want to turn this into my office for a while. Because Bert is upstairs in her office, which I was using last time, doing her arts and crafts stuff. Now, that means I'm renegated until I have a workshop built in the back garden, or I've sorted out an outside outhouse, whatever. So what I'm doing is I'm using the Terrican because it's a expensive lawn ornament at the moment. And I was hoping it was going to start, because what I do is every couple of weeks I come out and I start it. I did an oil change and fluid change before I parked it up, so that it's all nice and fresh for every time it cold start style thing. And I'll just leave it running for a while. Unfortunately this time I've left the ignition on too long setting the cameras up, and I've used all the little cranking amps that the battery has. The problem is that the battery in this isn't actually big enough for this car. It was a quick cheap fix when a previous battery went wrong. And yeah, a little bit like tinfoil on a fuse. It's a quick fix, but you kind of leave it there, you know what I mean? It works, who cares? Now at the moment I've still got juice coming through because I've got the little red light on that. But like I said, I will jump this a bit later on. I'll turn the focus round and whatever. It's easy to do. But no, I thought I'd do a little upload today because Bert's busy working on her lemonade designs. And I'm a spare prick at a wedding, so here we go. Plus, I do want to get to grips with this Apex Cam Pro. I've currently got it on 4K 30 frames a second. And it's mono microphone plugged in. Unfortunately, I don't think it can take a stereo microphone. So I'm currently going to be probably changing. The audio is going to be a bit iffy, because I've got my Tascam doing the audio for the GoPro, as I always do, and I figured out what I was doing wrong with the GoPro. So stupid. But then it's me. Technology and me. Of course it's going to be stupid. GoPro, like I was saying, I think in the last one, when they go in between saves, there's a second and a bit when you put them all together that blank, it jumps. But I've discovered, purely by accident, that if I just render all of the GoPro footage back to back, it doesn't jump. It gets rid of it when you're rendering. So all of a sudden, the audio lines up perfectly. It's like, yay! But on the last one, as I discovered, the audio doesn't line up at all with the Apex cam. After about 30 odd seconds or so, it starts getting the echo, and about 2 minutes in, I'm saying something and the sound is coming out. Do you see what I mean? It's really irritating. I know that was badly mouthed, but whatever, I've only just woken up. I don't give a shit. But yes, move on. Let's be a little bit current affairs-y, shall we? Yes. The fuel crisis. God. If ever there was a self-fulfilling prophecy, this is fucking it. I mean, now, it's been insane, hasn't it? It's like a couple of fuel stations weren't getting fuel quick enough, probably because management wasn't ordering early enough. You know, there's a bit of a delay with the driver shortage. Although, how a HGV driver shortage can affect HazChem guys, because for those of you who don't know, you can't just drive a fuel tanker. I've been driving HGV, 12 odd years now, something like that. I can't drive a HazChem vehicle because I don't have a HazChem license. Yeah? So, there's a sudden driver shortage of HazChem, but there hasn't been in January or February or March or April or May or June or July or August. But now all of a sudden there is. And yeah, okay, a couple of pumps have run dry. Throughout my entire driving career, I'm sure throughout most of your lives, you have been to a petrol station at some point, probably regularly, if you think about it, if you really think about it, and there's been one or two pumps that are not working or they're out of fuel. It happens. You know, a manager forgets to put the order in. The ordering isn't picked up instantly. There's some issue. A driver's off sick. You know, whatever. It happens. Yeah? So, all of a sudden, a couple of pumps are running dry. A couple of forecourts have closed down. Just whilst they're sorting all of this backlog out. Probably because a manager screwed up. Let's be honest. All of a sudden, the papers get hold of it. God knows why that happened. I mean, I can't think why that would happen. I'll let you insert your argument for that now. And, oh, we're out of fuel. There's a fuel crisis. There's not going to be... Every refinery, every fuel company was saying, we have reserves. We're not in a fuel crisis. Even the government was saying it. The petrol stations were saying it. Everyone was saying, no, everybody went out and they started filling up jerry cans, filling up their car, taking their second car and filling it full. Jerry can this, jerry can that, putting it in any container they can find and buggering off. Now, let's be honest. If that kind of fuel buying frenzy happened at any point in any year that we have lived through, the tankers wouldn't have been able to keep up. Yeah, you would have run all the fuel stations out of fuel. This is... Why did I say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy? Right. Most fuel companies and most of the media, left or right leaning, I'm not picking a side here, are very, very anti-Brexit. Now, as you guys know, and for the new people who are watching me, I didn't vote because genuinely I don't give a rat's ass. In, out, it's immaterial. It's one of those things that's taking away from the NHS being badly run, education going down the tubes, roads not being sorted out, services failing everybody. It's just one of those stupid political moments that, okay, you have to fill in a bit of paperwork to get a visa to go abroad, unless you're going there for 90 days, in which case you don't have to. So it's not going to affect your holiday. And if you're a professional who's got degrees and God knows what, and you're going abroad for your work and stuff like that, then surely if you've done a 200,000 word dissertation, a visa application form ain't above your head. But whatever. I don't care. I never voted. Couldn't have given a shit either way, right? So I'm not a Brexiteer. I'm not a Remainer. I genuinely don't give a fuck. Now, these papers and a lot of these fuel companies, are anti-Brexit. And they have been saying since 2016 that Brexit will be catastrophic. Brexit happened in January of this year during pretty much the height of a pandemic. So obviously there haven't been the staff in, and we're about to get metal. Right, sorry for the interruption just there. That was the scrap metal man coming round screaming his... I don't actually know what he's saying. Genuinely don't have a clue. He's not saying any old iron. But he God knows what he's saying, but whatever. Anyway, back to the original part. And they've been saying it's been a catastrophe. Obviously it happened at the height of a pandemic. So there haven't been the staffing. So warehouses haven't had the staff. Yeah? Some drivers have been off, coronavirus or just taking the piss, having a little bit of time on furlough. I did it in June, if you remember. I didn't have it, but I took time off. And of course, there's other drivers who've used this time and they've thought, well, I've built up some money. Driving was never a long-term thing for me. I'm going to retrain and be something else. A lot of drivers do that. I mean, we're not treated exactly nicely. I went to one collection over the weekend and I got in there. I had my load number and everything like that, the reference, the works. I walked in and I went, hey, boss, I've got the reference note. What's your fucking number plate? Blah, 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 blah. No, hold on a minute, but I've got a I don't give a fuck. And he's gone and sat down, carried on watching his football because I've interrupted his fucking football and he's as thick as pig shit. Ooh, can't interrupt football. It's not like they're going to play that game again fucking hundreds more times. Whatever. Anyway, if you can't tell, I don't like football. Well, I've got nothing against it. I just don't fucking follow it. The paint's obviously dry. Whatever. And I've just pissed off a few people then. And anyway, he sat down. He's done that. And he's come back. He's got on the phone, completely ignoring me all the time. And he's waddled out into the warehouse. Come back a few minutes later. Right, don't need you. Fuck off. What did I do? I just walked in with a reference number to pick up a load. A load that company produces to make money, and I have to transport it somewhere. Yeah? And that's one example. I'm sure truck drivers who are watching me, you've got thousands of them. Probably worse than that, right? And so people have had time off. They've had time to recoup. They've seen they've got some savings. Let's retrain and be a sparky, a plumber. Go into train driving, for example. Maybe hop into bus driving if that's what you want to do, or coach driving, or you're leaving the retail segment of the industry. This is another one. And you're going into car transporting across Europe. Whatever. And then, of course, you've got other ones they went home just before lockdown started, whether it was Poland, Czechoslovakia, Romania, wherever, whatever, Czech Republic, or whatever it's called these days, I don't fucking know. But gone home, hungry, wherever, right? Lockdowns come along, they haven't been able to get back. Whilst they've been at home, they've seen what is happening with the conditions in their companies for truck drivers. They're being improved. They are being levelled up, if you wish to use that term. And they've thought, well, what's the point in going back to the UK? I can be with my family and I can earn better money with better conditions, so I'm not going to come back. Yeah? They didn't leave in January after Brexit, did they? They've been leaving throughout the pandemic. They've been leaving after that. A huge amount of people buggered off after IR35, simply the changes of IR35, simply because large corporate entities, your Sainsbury's, your Tesco's, your Morrisons, and then of course you've got your electronic retailers and you've got all the other ones, I'm not singling people out here, refused to use limited company agency staff. They just banned them. And so at the time, you were £3-4 an hour better off than PAYE, and you're at least £2 an hour off better than Umbrella. Obviously that has changed, seeing as drivers have buggered off and they need to attract more. But at the time when you were making your decision, So, of course, you've got all of this going on. But I was still able to fill my car up every week, or whenever I wanted to. I was still able to get all the food I needed off the shelves. Okay, a couple of, the foie gras and all that kind of shit weren't there. But if you don't mind having a couple of bangers of mash, that was fucking there, wasn't it? No issues. But we've been told for years it would be catastrophic. Yeah? Now all of a sudden, couple of petrol stations, nothing major, does happen, happens all the time, let's be fair, we've all seen petrol stations that are shut, yeah, long before this started happening. Gets into the media, massive frenzy, a self-fulfilling prophecy, there isn't a fuel crisis, but we have created one. It's all Brexit's fault. How? If everybody had carried on filling up as normal, yes, you might not have been able to use the Shell at the end of the road. You might have had to go to the BP or the Texaco or the Total or Tesco's, as to whoever the fuck you use. At the other road, there wouldn't have been a Shell. I mean, think about the millions of people who have been filling all of their cars up, all the jerry cans up, all at the same time. 3, 4, 5 hours sitting in queues trying to fucking do it, and there was fuel there when you got there. That ain't a fucking crisis. There are thousands of people in front of you filling up. You get to the pump, there's fuel. Where's the fucking fuel shortage then? People are genuinely thicker than a concrete driveway. I use my car for work, obviously, we all do. Go to work, come back. Every week I use roughly half a tank. Now, obviously, if I go, if I don't do a night out or something, I'll use a little bit more. If I use the car to go piddling about again, I use a little bit more. If I do a few extra nights out, I don't use as much. But averagely, every week I use, or as average I should say, every week I use half a tank. Yeah. This week was no exception. I did 3 nights out, I did 6 days. I still used just shy of half a tank. Came home about 7 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the evening. I didn't come straight home. Drove past, went round to a fuel station. Yep. There was 2 cars in front of me. Okay. Waited. Got up to the pump. Filled my car up. Drove home. I've got a full tank of fuel at the end of my week. That I do every single fucking week. Now, because there's no diesel at the fuel stations, all the trucks that, all the hauliers that don't have DERVs on site are now running low on diesel. And they can't get their products to where they've got to go. And so now there's even more shelf spaces. A self-fulfilling prophecy. It wasn't coming true. Okay, Brexit hasn't exactly made life easy for everything. Yes, there's been an increase in red tape. Yes, there's been an increase in a few costs. Yes, there's been increases in, paperwork and time. Don't get me wrong, there have been. We all know that. We all understand it. But it hasn't been catastrophic. It hasn't been the end of our economy. From what I've been seeing online and reading in various financial papers and stuff like that, and obviously I do some trading and stuff, our economy's actually grown slightly quicker than fucking Germany. Yeah? It hasn't been catastrophic. So, here comes a problem that didn't exist, that has been made into a massive problem. Now hauliers can't get fuel. They can't fucking go anywhere. Oh look, Brexit's a catastrophe. We told you it would be. Really? I've got a full beer fridge. I've got a full fridge and freezer. I've got full tanks of fuel in my cars, except this one, obviously, because it's been sitting here for fucking about a year. Well, as long as I've been living here, anyway. And even this has still got like a quarter of a tank in the bloody thing. But you know what I'm getting at, dude. You understand. Okay, I'm having a bit of a laugh and a joke over this, but whatever. It's just a bit of fun. But the thing is, it was never a catastrophe. Yes, it was harder for certain industries. Yes, it's been harder for, a few increases in costs and stuff like that. And I'm not saying Brexit is the greatest idea in history. Like I said, I don't really care. Personally, given the way the world is going and how trade agreements are being made these days, being part of the EU bloc on the trade principle kind of thing isn't a bad idea. Being out of it, again, you could create a trading platform with other nations, and then one day the EU goes, can we join? So there's pluses and minuses on every fucking side, let's be honest, right? I do think it's a bit crappy, because freedom of movement made it really easy to just go to the EU and not care. And oh look, I've got a blue passport, not a red one anymore. But whatever, I can take the piss out of leavers, I can take the piss out of remainers equally. Because it is what it is. Yeah, just head down, carry on, do your job, buck it. You know what I mean? But again, you get the extremes, don't you? Like, a trade agreement with America will be detrimental to our health. Tweets the person on an iPhone wearing Nike trainers, Levi jeans, Tommy Hilfiger top, eating a McDonald's, drinking Coca-Cola, driving a fucking Ford. you just sit there and you're like, you can't make this shit up, can you? But you just sit there and you look at me like, what? Pardon? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And let me guess, your favourite TV programme is Friends or fucking NCIS. That amazing French fucking programme. But it's just, you do think sometimes, don't you? You just look at people and you're like, it's like when somebody, oh mate, this was funny as fuck. Obviously, with the fuel crisis, various friends have been posting various things online about how they coast now and I'm saving fuel. And it's like, okay, well, leave it in gear, take your foot off, and just kind of coast in gear. Use engine braking because your engine uses no fuel, right? What? Well, no. I'm saving more fuel when I coast. In like neutral when I dump the clutch. I'm just coasting. Yeah, because you're driving like a twat constantly. You accelerate, brake, accelerate. You're never letting the momentum, the kinetic energy that you've built up free. You're just constantly on the revs, constantly on the brake, And then they come back with things like, well, if it doesn't save fuel, why is it they tell F1 drivers to coast to save fuel? Do you know how long it takes an F1 driver, anyone you want to talk about, to go from the accelerator to the brake into a corner? Or whenever they want to brake. Do you know how long it takes them? Less time than it takes you to blink. So when they say coast and they let off a second or two before the corner, or they, do actually coast for a while when they've got a big enough lead, they are saving fuel because they are no longer doing 19,000 RPM pushing the shit out of it. Your little 1.6 diesel doesn't do 19,000 RPM. Yeah, and then somebody chimed in and went, yeah, but when you change down a gear to use engine brake, the revs go up and it draws fuel in. So how does it use no fuel? Electronic injection. How the fuck does it draw fuel in? You look at me like, well, it's not quite how it works. You see, for those of you who don't know, when you drive a car, you accelerate, okay? And that puts fuel into the engine to create a bang, to push down the piston, to turn the crank, to turn the flywheel, which is connected to the clutch or fluid flywheel or fucking torque converter if you've got an auto, but whatever. It turns the clutch, turns the gearbox, yeah, which then transfers that through the prop into the drive shaft, into the wheels, and it makes you go fucking forward. Right, or backwards. Once your car is then moving and you've got some speed, you now have the kinetic energy built up because of the mass of the vehicle you are driving moving forward. Right? If you take your foot completely off the accelerator, you start to get engine braking. Now again, if you're in fifth doing 60, 70 miles an hour, it's not amazing engine braking. Yeah, if you're doing 60 miles an hour and you slap it into 6, you get a bit of engine braking. The reason for this, right, is you now transfer what is driving the vehicle. The kinetic energy is now driving the vehicle. And the process to accelerate, explosion in the engine, through all the bits and bobs, out into the wheels, move you forward. When you take your foot off, the wheels are now transferring the drive back into reverse, all the way back through the engine, and the engine is trying to stop that process from happening, which is engine braking. There is no fuel going in. The engine is being rotated by your momentum. But unfortunately, these people walk among us and they have the right to vote, so funny. And it's like, you know, if your revs go up and it draws fuel in, so it makes a bang, you'll accelerate. Engine braking is where the engine is trying to stop the process. Yeah, you're now driving the engine. All the resistance in the engine is what is trying to stop the process. You accelerate, the engine's now driving. It likes that. Yeah, well, that's what it's supposed to do. You have conversation and you're like, I wonder if you were going out panic buying fuel. Because that's the other thing. Everyone's like, oh my God, fuel is... And they're still 90 mile an hour past. You slam on the brakes, flashing people, fucking accelerating like buggery. Just had one person down this road before I pressed record. He must have left it in first the entire way up trying to get to 30. I'm like, I bet your economy's shit. But you can't win sometimes. You just can't win. But anyway, I thought I'd chime in on the old fuel shortage stuff. Do a medium rant, I think we can call this one. Just for a bit of a giggle, just for something to upload. Just for you to, have something. Make some kind of contribution to the YouTube world. However bollocks it may be. But yeah, I thought that's what I would do whilst Bert's up there. So now I've got to spend the rest of the day editing this fucking thing. See what this Apex Cam Pro. I'm actually reading the name and I fuck it up. See what this Apex Cam Pro is actually like with the microphone in. I don't know. The reason I'm using the GoPro at the same time with the Tascam is because I don't know if the Apex Cam is actually recording sound. I don't know if I've got to press any buttons. And I thought if I do this entire thing and I watch the playback and there's no audio, I'm going to be pissed off. So I've used primarily the GoPro. I may add in a bit of Apex Cam's footage. Obviously you'll have seen it by now. So if audio's changed and things have changed, obviously that is the Apex. But the majority, the body of this upload is going to be the GoPro. Unless of course the GoPro isn't working. In which case, I'm sorry if you've been watching me the entire time on Apex Cam because I haven't been looking at you. I've been looking at the GoPro. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share about, do whatever it is you usually do. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, rants are more for fun. Yeah, I take a point. And this is for people who are new to the channel and don't really understand the rants. Sometimes I go really overboard on it. Sometimes it's like it has just been. But the entire point of a rant is I'll take a point that is... It's a correct point. Obviously, we haven't run short of fuel. Everybody knows that. But then I will just grumpy old man it. I'll just go a bit about it. That's the rant. It's taking a serious point but being... over the top about it. Okay, it's not that's the only thing I believe, right? Okay, this is not I'm 100% correct and bugger everybody else. No. You see, intelligence is knowing enough to know you could be wrong. Which is why one of my sayings, if you've watched this channel long enough, is what? Just because you believe something doesn't mean you're right. It applies to me as well as it applies to everybody else. A rant is more for humour. Never a truer word said than a word said in jest. Yeah, so that's what the rants are. Now, most of you get it, but I do get a few lower IQ members who don't understand. They think what I'm ranting about, that's it, that's 100% it. No. It's a point that is known to be true, so we haven't been running low of fuel. And then, we know that a lot of media and most fuel companies didn't like Brexit. We know that the story about fuel stations closing down was given to the press by the fuel companies. Yeah? Do you see how it works? You take a few bits, you link them together, bit ranty, bit over the top, bit of fun. Yeah, so please understand my rants. Yes, the basic is correct. There is a lot more elements to it than that, but it's a bit of fun. Okay? So calm down. But like I said, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share about, do whatever it is you do. I'll see you in the next one, whenever that's going to be. But if I'm using this as an office and I can get the bastard thing jump started, probably next week, I suppose. See you later.